Hey guys, Girl Got Game. Welcome back to Seduce Me 2. We're here to do Diana's second good ending, where I think I'm gonna keep her all to myself. At least by the choices that I think I have to make, it seems that way. So, we'll find out though. Maybe I'm heading towards another bad end and then I'll sigh like that and shake my head, I guess. Because there's no hope for me at that point. But anyway, the first choice is the one here that we have to change. We stopped her from burning down that room. And now here we have to clear our throat when Sero is with Diana. Not that I was against Diana getting energy, but Sero seemed to be extremely cozy with her. And being that she was someone who I potentially wished to be cozy with, this was now an obstacle I had to slowly break Diana away from. Wow, stone cold. They're like, what? Diana and Sero both looked up to me, with Sero lifting his head from Diana's hand. At least it worked. Realizing what was going on, Diana looked at Sero and smiled nervously before pulling her hand away from him.
Thank you, Sero.
Sero, however, gave me the stink eye, most likely knowing why I did what I had done. Another flash of disgust flashed in his eyes before he looked at Diana and bowed his head.
I am forever here to serve.
Damn. Okay. So, that should be the only choice for a little bit. But Diana's route is so quick that we should be able to just get there pretty soon. Okay, so I tell her about that nightmare, the one and only nightmare we had. And then she goes and fights the Demon Lord. And we kiss her. And I think we tell her to do this again, yes. You should do it. And it's after this that we start to make some changes again. Alright, and we have this talk. So this time, I say, I think I said I love her too, last time. Yep, I did. And then... Right. I think I said this last time. Let me just check. Hold on. Yeah, I did. I said that last time. And this is probably gonna be like bad stuff to say to Sero. She's mine. Oh yeah? We'll see about that. So this time I'll say, but I understand your feelings for her perfectly. We both loved and cared for her. I could tell that Sero deeply and truly loved Diana, but so did I. She had done so much for me already, and I found myself captured in her spell. Sero had to have been the same. I was given silence as Sero's reply. Alright. And then I think we'll have to make out with her. Say, I love you. Have fun times. Doop-de-doop. Okay, and I think there's only one more option. Yeah, we talk to him here. Yeah, this is gonna be very quick. I gotta break Sero's heart. I want to be the one to make her happy. I truly loved her and wanted to be with her for the rest of my life. I knew that Sero had been with her his entire life, but I couldn't stop what I was feeling for his sake. Sero stared hard at me, taking in what I was saying before raising his spear, pointing it at me.
You truly love her?
I do. I'm sorry if that upsets you. A moment passed. What would Sero do? I prayed that he wouldn't strike me down and that I wasn't heading towards a bad ending. I hoped that he was willing to listen and compromise by letting me have my way. A small chuckle escaped Sero's lips, causing me to look at him in confusion. His face painted his concern and his strange thoughts on this almost humorous situation. As he lowered his spear, he shook his head.
It doesn't upset me. I just want Azir to be happy.
As do I. Sero locked eyes with me, gazing into my soul to judge my words for their truth. I was being honest, and truly, to know that both of us cared about and loved Diana was amazing to fathom. Eventually, Sero smiled slightly, despite his heart breaking beneath his eyes. Don't tell me this.
Then, you should continue being at her side.
I was astonished. Sero was giving me his blessing? I wasn't sure what to say. I opened my mouth to speak, but nothing was able to come out from the sheer shock I was in. Sero, however, chuckled quietly, holding his forehead.
How pathetic am I? I was ready when Diana went off to marry her betrothed, but I'm nowhere near ready for this.
Oh dear. I couldn't help but frown. Sero deeply loved Diana, and I felt terrible having to be the one to break his heart. Still, I couldn't lie to myself about this. I would have been in the same position if Sero took her away from me. I took a breath, trying to be strong. I'm sorry. I promise, though, that I will protect and love her for the rest of my life. With a grimace, Sero looked at me once more, judging my truth. When he found no deceit, he nodded and took a shaky breath. For the first time since we had met, it was the first time I saw him give up.
What is going on?
Nothing good, girl. Turn away now. Sero and I suddenly looked in the direction of Diana's voice, seeing her completely red in the face in anger. As she walked forward, Sero bowed his head in submission.
My lady, I
asked Sero if we could talk in private. Diana stopped walking and stared at me with the most confused look I had ever seen. I giggled a bit before stepping to her and taking her hand. I wanted to ask him if it was okay to be with you. He's part of your family, after all. Sero looked up at me in shock, but not in an unpleasant way. He seemed more surprised that I was covering for him, if anything. Diana looked at Sero, seeing his expression, before looking to me in mild curiosity.
You asked him if you could be with me?
I nodded, pulling her to me slightly. As I softly said her real name, she slightly gasped in shock. Zaire. I love you, and I want to be with you forever. I know that I'm just a human, but I want to be by your side and love you for the rest of my days. Diana was completely speechless. She stared deep into my gaze, both in shock and in utter amazement. I, however, stood my ground. My heart was in the air, hoping it wouldn't come crashing down. As Diana smiled, however, it began to swell. While Sero was like, please come crashing down, please come crashing down. Diana gently held my cheek and caressed it lovingly.
I would be honored to call you mine, my heart.
Poor Sero. I just can't help but feel bad for that guy. Ugh. What are these feelings I'm feeling? I couldn't stop myself from crying. My chest became overwhelmed by emotions of love that I almost couldn't contain myself. Sero stood and smiled at the both of us, causing us to look over. Diana's hand squeezed over mine as she looked apologetically at her guard.
Sero,
It's all right, my lady. All I have ever wanted was your happiness.
Sero walked over and gently leaned over, kissing Diana's cheek before stepping back. That is so sad.
I will serve you and protect your love for as long as I live.
Diana choked a sob, covering her mouth as tears gently began to flow from her eyes. Sero only smiled and walked around us towards where the castle was, leaving us together. We watched him go before turning to each other. I wiped away Diana's tears as she slowly tried to calm down despite it being futile. I chuckled a bit at the sight. I love you, Zaire. Diana took a breath, trying to regain herself before pulling me to her and wrapping her arms around me.
I love you too.
Whoa, she said it. I leaned up and captured her lips in mine, earning a sweet kiss back. As our lips touched, the wind around us picked up, causing the leaves on the tree above us to sway. Pink and purple leaves that had fallen from the branches flew up and danced around us ecstatically, as if the world was giving us its blessing. I was more than happy to be with this woman, and I vowed to give her everything as she would do the same for me. Alright, so she's gonna go and fight the war, and then...
The day after, she became queen of the demon world. It definitely shocked her, and it took her a while to get used to being called Your Highness by the other demons, but you helped her through it. Sero began to focus more on the military and only guarded Diana publicly. When they were out of the public eye, however, Sero left her to you to care for. Diana always preferred your company regardless.
More daggers in the heart. That's all it is, just daggers in the heart.
You got her wrapped around your little finger, don't you? There's still the question of what you'll do now that the demon war is over. Diana is the queen and all, so she can't really leave. You'll figure it out, I'm sure.
I'll be fine. The demon world finally knew peace. It was a grand moment, the sounds of a million cheers echoing and burning themselves in my memory in celebration for the end of the war. Diana had finally destroyed the Demon Lord, and soon enough we would watch her become the matriarch of the Abyssal Plains, uniting the entire world under her rule. It was almost too unreal to experience and see as a human. However, I was happy for Diana, and I was proud to stand beside her and support her through it all. The war was an experience and a half, and I would never forget it for as long as I lived. As for me, I found myself drawn to Diana, hoping to spend every night with her in her arms. The human world became a faintly drifting memory as my life embedded itself into the demon world. Many demons questioned me, but Sero and Diana defended me with every conflict that came. However, there was never a day that went by that I didn't wonder, did I make the right choice? It was a heavy chapter of my life, one that tested the love between me and Diana. My heart seemed to remind me that I had come to the demon world to help Diana, and now it was time for her to honor her end of the deal. She had to teach me everything about the 5 worlds and about magic. As a queen, that was impossible now. To my surprise, I didn't seem to mind. I had been given the experience of a lifetime, and I easily accepted it as a promise fulfilled. The faint memory of my own power slightly tingled through me every time I grew confident, eagerly reminding me that I had strength of my own. I would never let anyone come between me and Diana ever again. The thoughts of it all echoed in my mind as I laid in bed, looking up at the ceiling with a wide smile on my face. Despite the dangers being real, the war was an adventure fun to look back upon in my memories. I took in a breath and let out a sigh, leaning back against the pillow beneath my head and closing my eyes. I was at peace and everything was all right.
Are you okay, dear?
That very carefully placed blanket, though. Not that she actually needs it, but hey. I opened my eyes at the sound of my pet name, looking up to see Diana smiling at me from her side of our bed. I could only giggle and cuddle close to her, feeling her wrap her arms around me. I was just thinking about us.
Were you now? What about us?
With a smile, I nuzzled Diana's chest softly and closed my eyes, listening to her steady and loving heartbeat. How thankful I am to be here with you. Diana stared down at me, gently hugging me to her. I could feel her own joy at the situation resonate from her embrace and her kiss over my head.
I am thankful that you're here too. You have done so much for me, and I will cherish you forevermore.
I couldn't help but look up at her beautiful ruby eyes, feeling her stroke my cheek lovingly.
I vow to make you happy and protect you with my life.
And I you, Azair. The sound of her real name rolling off of my tongue made her giggle and nuzzle closer to me. I loved her real name, and I loved holding her against me.
I love you.
I believed every word. I let her words embed themselves into my heart, and I would remember them forever. As Diana hugged me to her warm body, we let out a simultaneous sigh of contentment. I would love her, and continue to hold her close for the rest of my life. Nothing would be able to tear me away from her any longer. And that was my perfect happily ever after. The right choice. We did it. Oh. I don't think I've ever felt this sad at a good ending. Oh well, what can you do? You can't win them all, right? That was a sweet, cute ending between those two girls. I'm glad they found love, and Diana finally learned all about what real love is. So that was good. Anyway, that's it for the good endings, though. So, you know what that means. It's time for a bad ending. And I think we probably all know how that's going to go down by this point, but maybe Sarah will surprise me. Alright, well, if you're interested in seeing how that ends up, I'll see you over there in that video, guys. Thanks again for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, I will see you later.